Well, I promised an update, and here it is. Quick recap, a little under a week ago, the CEO of Earth 2, Shane Isaac himself, issued a challenge to a YouTuber named Callum Upton. I have a complete video on the topic linked down below if you want to see it, but to briefly summarize, Earth 2 released a video showcasing proprietary technology that they claim is enormously impressive. This was effectively rendering tech that simulated snow and water levels, had a large area of procedurally generated land, and some fancy camera movement. That's about it. Honestly, it is. In response, Callum Upton, he has excellent content, link is down below, go subscribe, created a video criticizing their technology and stating that this was, in fact, not even remotely impressive because all of their individual features could be replicated with cheap, easily accessible plugins. In response, the CEO of Earth 2, Shane Isaac, issued a $10,000 challenge for a 7-day build in which Callum Upton would have to recreate not what the devblog had shown, no, but what Shane Isaac claimed it had been made with. Callum accepted. Good on him. And thus the entertainment began, and everyone who has been watching this dumpster fire for any significant period of time, because Earth 2 has persisted long before this, got really excited. Well, the time has come, and the video has been posted. Callum Upton has released a build of what he believes is a comprehensive rendering system, meeting or exceeding the challenge parameters, so without further ado, let's get right into it. To make sure everyone is refreshed on what this actually needed to be, let's put up the original parameter guidelines. These 7 points right here are what was asked, and these 7 points are realistically the only things that can be considered because minutes, then hours, then days into the challenge, Shane Isaac began whining and moving the goalposts. He claimed that arbitrary timelines far lower than the original challenge were suddenly much more important. He claimed, with no evidence I might add, that Callum Upton was receiving help, and he even went on to alter the actual rules and add new parameters when it became clear that there was a very real chance that the challenge would be completed. It should be obvious to anyone watching by now, I believe that Callum succeeded. I'm squarely in his corner, I am on his side. However, this is much less about my individual opinion on the matter and much more about the reality of Earth 2 that investors will honestly now have to grapple with. This is the original dev blog, on screen right now. It's visually impressive. The fidelity, the scripted movement, the cinematography, all of it. This is appealing to look at, it really is, and serves as an ideal piece of hype-building teaser material served up on a proprietary silver platter. Earth 2 probably invented silver platters as well, if you ask Shane Isaac. This is perfect for indulging the fantasies of their idiotic investors. It is the ideal morsel to string them along, and it works very, very well on their underdeveloped prefrontal cortexes. However, after the challenge was issued and after Callum accepted, there was only one outcome: a comparison. This right here is what he created as a lone programmer in less than 7 days. I'll do a side-by-side comparison soon, but right now I'll let it play out with what he had in his own original post. Callum goes on to describe each individual parameter and why/how he achieved this goal. He goes on to later assert, I am in full agreement here and voiced as much during my prior video, that the Earth 2 devblog, whatever, did not show proof of concept for any of the challenge requirements themselves. It merely showcased visually scripted cinematic imagery. After displaying his rendering project in the first half and criticizing the framework of the challenge itself afterward, he goes on to showcase a near lockstep replica of the proprietary tech that Earth 2 showed off in its second devblog. This is where things completely fall apart, if they hadn't already, because the system has been perfectly recreated in a matter of hours. Not just that, it's basically default functions and rudimentary plugins, where Callum was able to make something almost identical from a visual and technical perspective, and this wasn't even part of the challenge. That's 2 videos dressed up as impressive, obfuscated with complicated terminology, and replicated by a single YouTuber in less than 1 week. Worst case outcome for Earth 2. Now, obviously one group will dig in its heels while the other group digs in their heels, and many of the viewers won't even change their minds as a result. They won't even consider that fact. But let's be completely, brutally honest with ourselves. Look at these 2 things side by side. One of them is far more artistic. One of them has more dynamic camera movement, if you will, and one of them has much more attention paid to the fidelity of specific features, such as water clarity, that's a good example, and snow patterns. One of them looks better. It looks better, undeniably, but remember, this isn't about the visuals. Shane Isaac might have retroactively tried to attach the visual aspect to all this as a sort of addendum on the subject, but that doesn't make it valid. Ask yourself, honestly, is it possible for these 2 things to produce a similar video with a little bit of aesthetic tweaking? Is it possible that with a few more people, Callum could have precisely replicated what Earth 2 showed in their devlog using the tech on display right now? The answer is obviously yes, but to arrive at this answer, you need to cut through the carefully designed marketing material and bullshit that is being produced and propagated by Earth 2. Now, Callum rightly acknowledged that nothing he did would be good enough for Shane Isaac, who would almost certainly find a way to avoid paying. I would agree with that claim as well, wholeheartedly. And we even have a bit of evidence already to support that. In the Earth 2 Discord, Shane Isaac posted almost immediately about how Callum had failed to meet challenge requirements, particularly, I think, requirement number 5. He posted this very quickly. Actually, posting and then removing things is a bit of a hobby for Mr. Shane Isaac over there, and this right here is another one of his quickly deleted Twitter posts. I should mention that the previous Discord post was deleted after like 3 seconds. This right here is another one, right, deleted from Twitter. And there's more in a similar vein. I just don't have archives of them all, and this was the most recent one. But this is a man who unironically believes that a shadow cabal of connected and coordinated YouTubers are working to deliberately destroy Earth 2 for the benefit of ... I don't know who. He thinks that Sid Alpha has somehow confirmed this. Certain community members and even leadership figures in Earth 2, in their community at least, think it's all for this other shitty metaverse thing called After Earth, I guess. And I struggle to find the adequate words to express the sheer level of narcissism required for this man to actually believe that there is an organized conspiracy aimed at bringing down his shitty little grift. We cover it, a bunch of us, YouTubers, because it's a dumpster fire. We don't do it because some shadowy puppeteer is pulling unseen strings so that a different dumbass project can get more dumbass fans. The world doesn't revolve around you, Shane. The aftermath of this challenge has been interesting, to say the very least. In a straw poll from the Earth 2 Discord, and maybe posted by Guidebook Gaming, I'm not positive, though this could easily be tainted by the cross-pollination of audiences right now, so take it with a grain of salt, it would seem that a supermajority, well, not quite, but whatever, a large amount of active users, a majority of active users, and voters believe Callum has won the challenge and deserves to be paid. I can't verify the authenticity of this particular claim in its entirety, but Callum also asserts that he not only met the requirement of 774,000 meter dimensions, he far exceeded that requirement by modeling the entire Earth. This would, if true, again, I can't verify it myself, I'm not in the code over there, but I do actually believe him, having talked in the DMs. And when looking at this challenge in context, anyone who has money in this project should be horrified that this was possible. I'm not going to play the quote segments, the same ones that I used last time, because I don't want to repeat too much content here, but these devlogs are littered with complicated terminology and words like new or proprietary. They love that one. In some cases, this might be rather inconsequential. Normally, this wouldn't even be worth a video, but when a development team's CEO is claiming that what they are doing is complex or impressive, and when that self-indulgent air of importance leads him to challenge a lone YouTuber, accusing him of being a mediocre coder and saying that he needs to prove himself by recreating what they made, recreating what they say they have, which produced what they showed but didn't actually show what they say they have, it becomes a lose-lose scenario for him, so good job on that one, Shane. Callum Upton succeeded, at least in my opinion, in making something that can absolutely reproduce what they showcased. And unless they now prove that they have actually way different and much better proprietary tech that just isn't out of the box shit that they got for cheap, so it's actually way better than what we said we had, ha ha ha, the image of this project is going to completely fall apart, and rightly so. What's more, I've been able to talk with Callum during all this, and he provided me with what is very clearly insider information on this project. He has developer level access through whatever channels they might be to the Earth 2 project, or at the very least, right, to a prior version. Or he is involved in a sense where he has people communicating with him, and he has information about Earth 2, which means that he is not simply posturing based on conspiracy and unhinged conjecture, like Shane Isaac. He is speaking from a position of authority, it seems. It's now apparent that Shane Isaac has claimed that he will respond to all this, having already tried to invalidate and disqualify this competition numerous times over before its completion anyway. I find it highly unlikely that he will pay the money that he rightly owes. And just to make things even more complicated, Callum has nominated Guidebook Gaming, the guys who can't even read a Google Trends document properly, to judge this whole thing as an impartial third party, so who knows what they are going to say, but for me, it's already clear as day. Callum Upton replicated what the video showed with the skills of a programmer. He's not an artist or a cinematographer, but he created the functionality of what they showcased, and he did so in under a week. He did all this at the behest of a narcissistic, idiotic CEO who genuinely believes that there is a shadow cabal of insidious villains out to get him personally and hinder his creative genius, which leads me to the only logical conclusion: Earth 2 has been beaten. Shane Isaac owes Callum Upton $10,000, and all of you should subscribe to his channel. Anyone invested in this project needs to seriously reconsider their decision-making process, because it is nearly impossible to list all of the different failures and shady maneuvers that Earth 2 has been responsible for lately. They engage in partnerships that do nothing but inflate user FOMO, and then they fall apart immediately after. They are manipulating their audience with undeserving but visually flashy marketing material, as if it will somehow redefine technology itself, and they hire proven, well-proven liars, scammers, and asset thieves who then go on to dirty the name of the company itself by claiming that there are multi-million-dollar lawsuits against YouTubers, which, honestly, it's just a disaster. All this and more is a problem. I might even come back for a third time on this when the dust settles, but I believe the outcome is clear even now. And regardless of whether or not you believe Callum has won on a precise technical level, it is clear that the project is not even remotely as impressive or well-developed as they would have you believe. That's it. Quality stuff, so big shout out to Callum Upton, yet again, for making all of this possible. Also Big Fry TV, who managed to grab some of those pesky screenshots where Shane Isaac is making a complete ass of himself and then deleting it 5 seconds later, as well as Kira TV and Sid Alpha, who are apparently all members of a shadowy conspiracy to hurt our God King Shane Isaac with a puppeteer string puller that dictates who covers what and when. Because that's a completely stable and rational thing to believe. If you want to support, there are links down below: locals and Patreon, Odyssey, merch and social media, other YouTubers to check out, of course, and more, but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching. This has been quality entertainment, at least from my perspective, as all of this unfolded, so I hope you had a good time too, and have a nice night.